All right, good afternoon. So, LJ's done. It's exciting. Exciting for us here, and now we've got a nice daily driver that Tanya can peel around in. So she actually registered it today, and now in the process of putting the registration sticker on it, because that's a thing. So she's all happy, can't wait to be driving this thing on a daily. So here's where we're at. This thing is going to tour around this coming weekend. Hello.
But I will miss my blue. I mean, I got me some copper now, but
yeah,
she a good girl still.
She's good. So what we're going to do now, we're going to head to Corpus Christi this weekend, which is the day this video comes out. We'll be actually on the highway. So if you're down there and you see us, give us a wave. Gladly say hi. And we're going to do a shakedown thing and just kind of take it for a tour. We're not going to camp in it this time. Going to spend some time in a hotel because we're going to glamp it. But we got a hotel right on the beach, and we're just going to enjoy it. Maybe take this thing down the beach a bit, but we'll definitely get some video footage of whatever we do. So that brings us to what's next. We were struggling with this a little bit because I don't have, I'm not going to buy another Jeep, much to Tanya's dismay. Yeah. Because I'm sure she'd love me to go out and buy another one. Okay. But we're not going to do that. So instead, what we're going to do is, since Tanya's going to be driving the LJ now on the daily, window down, hair blowing in the breeze, you know, we're going to bring old Blue in for some much needed maintenance. So what I wanted to do was treat this as a lift. Yeah, needs some ground clearance. So what I wanted to do is on the tails of the, so you want to buy a Jeep, and what's the value of a Jeep TJ? Let's look at a real life example, maybe. So you're in the market to buy one, and one becomes available. And unfortunately, it's not this, because Tanya and I decided we're not going to sell it. Even though we have to, why not have more? So, but it definitely needs some TLC. So what I want to do is kind of walk through this one, go over it, see what's wrong with it, and you know, kind of put a value on it. And I'm going to leave that to you guys. So feel free to walk in the comments what you think this Jeep is worth after we just do kind of a quick walk. Obviously, I'm not going to go into every nuance and every detail. But what I'll start with, when I first look at any Jeep, regardless of how many miles are on it, because it really doesn't matter, is what the original build sheet was. So I have actually the build sheet for this one right in front of me. And you can actually pull these off of the FCA website, and I'll put a link to where to get these in the description. So all you need is the VIN. And I think there is a disclaimer, anything before 1998, it doesn't really apply, but this is a 97 and it was there. So the TJs I know are all there. I don't know about the YJs or anything prior to that. I've never tried. So let's talk about this bad boy and what it originally came with. So monotone paint, which is pretty standard. This is a 4x4 Sport Utility two-door. Yep, big shocker. Reclining front seats, came with carpet, 3-speed automatic 32RH, which was standard in the TJs up to 2003, I think, or 4. And then they came out with the 4-speed automatic. It has a Dana 30 front and a Dana 35 rear. Again, pretty standard order package. Tinted windshield, swing away mirrors, blah, blah, blah. So really it's the differentials that I really most concern myself with, the Dana 30 and the Dana 35, because then you know what your starting point is. And if this was a Dana 44, or somebody had put in aftermarket axles like, you know, what came on the Rubicon 44 front and back, or Dana 60s, you know, there would definitely be some more value in that. And then the paint was what I found hilarious. This one came factory black. Shocker. The other two Jeeps that we have here are both black as well. I'm not too sure why they went with this blue. I don't have the paint code, and I wish I did. But, and then because it's from Canada, it actually has a block heater in it. Not that people in Houston care. Or even know what a block heater, yeah, don't know what it is. And then it's got the sport decor, which is just some trim. You know, it had the sport badging and that sort of stuff. And then it's got the 4-liter inline 6. And that's pretty much it as far. And then the rest is all just standard. It's got the 19-gallon fuel tank, which was standard for these years. Alcantara wrap steering wheel. That sounds like an expensive adder. 225/75 R15 Owl Wrangler AT tires. So 225, so that's about a 27 and change inch tire, so pretty small. And we're going to go into why here in a little bit. And customer preferred package and other stuff, paint order code, nothing major. So that is kind of the build sheet. So that gives us a you know, where our starting point was. So now the first thing we do is we walk around it and see, did any of the previous owners put anything aftermarket or do any kind of work into this Jeep? So I know a couple things that are done. So let's do a walk around and then we'll capture it all at the end. Let's start with what we know. This one has the inline 6-cylinder, the 4-liter. It has factory air conditioning. And then no other modifications were done on this engine to date. The evap canister, when I got this from auction, this was completely destroyed. It was all broken. There was no engine codes for evap, but it was definitely a concern. So all that gas vapor that would come out would just be venting into the engine bay, which is obviously not a good mixture. So this is one for a GM model. It's almost a direct replacement. The dimensions are a little bit different, but it fits in. I put new fuel lines on it and hooked it up to the vent tube, back to the tank, and put in a new vacuum line because this one was cracked and broken. So that was some of the repairs. It's got a brand new alternator in it, which you guys saw me put in, and I have the scars to prove it. So that's in, and everything else is as it should be. The brakes, this fluid actually needs to be changed. You can see it's really dark. We did do a liquid test on it, and there's no water in there, which is good, but it definitely needs to be flushed. So I'll probably gravity bleed all that out here over the coming, week or 2 weeks, and we'll get all that cleaned up and ready to go. So it has an aftermarket aluminum radiator in here, and this engine is actually rebuilt. When I bought it at auction, when I got all the paperwork, I noticed a receipt for a rebuild. So it had no compression in chamber 1, and it looks like they just redid the whole thing. So I did a video a month or 2 or 3 ago where we were chasing the fuel issue with this, and I put a borescope down the spark plug holes, and you can actually still see the cross hatches in the cylinders. So this engine has about 40 to 50,000 miles on it right now. So it's still relatively brand new. So that's it kind of for the engine bay. Everything is as it should be. Coming around, this has got 30-inch tires on it. Factory would have been 27s or 28s. So they're a little bit bigger, but it's got no suspension lift at all. So these, obviously the clearance is a little bit tighter. Coming around, there's no rust on this side. Even the fender's in really good shape. The hood's good, cowl, the windshield. Normally these corners would start to rust out, but this one doesn't have any in it at all. So the only thing is the windshield is got some chips and some cracks in it. But this windshield, brand new, installed, is like $150 from a glass place. So not a big deal there. Factory side steps. These I did buy paint for, but I just never got around to it. And actually I used that paint for the LJ. So I have to get some more if we want to paint this. Hard top is in really good shape. It definitely needs a coat of paint. It does have some scratches, but there's no cracks or anything like that in it. The glass is good. The window tint is all kind of not very, it was kind of like an aftermarket cheap one that looked like they tried to put it on themselves. So that definitely could get tore out. The interior in the back is, you're not going to be able to see it. It's going to be black, but there's a bed rug in here and a bed rug on the tailgate. And then this has the vinyl flooring that you would find in like a work truck. It's not carpet back here. So it's a little bit better. It stands up more, doesn't get quite as dirty. And no padding on the roll bar. We took that off when we did the soft top because it just didn't fit right. So I do have the pieces for that, but it's just not installed. It's got the factory bumper. None of that was touched. It's in really, really good shape. There's no rust on that whatsoever. It's got a trailer hitch on it. I've never pulled anything with it, but I think the previous owner did pull some stuff. So, a little bit of rust coming around the body here, but nothing that's, it's not wearing a big hole yet, but that's something that can definitely be addressed. The frame all in here is in really good shape. There's no extra holes or any rust showing. So that's all good. Body all here is good. And then the only other area of real big concern is this fender. This fender's basically toast. It's got a big hole here and it's wearing through right here. So this fender either needs to be patched or just replace it. The only downfall to this is I don't have the paint code for this blue paint. The factory color for this Jeep was actually black. Shocker. But the previous owner obviously felt blue was a better color. So I tried to look through the paperwork to see if I could find the paint code, but I can't. And it was done at Maaco. I thought about calling them, but who knows if they would even have a record. I don't even know what Maaco painted it. This is a Canadian Jeep, but I know it was driven down to Chicago and down the eastern seaboard and back and forth. That's why it has so many kilometers on it, because it was basically highway driven back and forth. So we do have some rust on the window here. Again, I would fix it, but I don't know the paint code. So interior wise, this is your run-of-the-mill TJ. It's got the 3-speed automatic, aftermarket deck. We put a CB radio in it for when we drove down. I put a phone holder in it, just some little amenities. One of the big things that it's got is electric windows. They're, they were in it when I got it. It's not something that I would do, but they're there. I can't even go back to manual windows because the gear mechanism's completely gone. So it's something that we have to live with. But unless I find doors or the mechanism. One thing I just noticed is the wire's all chewed, broken. Tanya was complaining that you can't roll the passenger window up and down anymore, and that would probably be why. One of the bigger downfalls to this is you can't take the doors off. There's no quick disconnects or anything like that. So you could run with no doors or trail doors. So that might, while this is broken, maybe that's something that we do is put a connector in here and fix that up. One of the other bad parts is this. You can see it's just bent. This is actually broken. It tore right out of the bracket. So, and you're used to flinging these doors open and then the straps usually catch it, but you can see it's bending the door jamb. So I'm not a big fan of these. I actually might take these off and put the straps back on. I think I have brand new straps to do that. So that's something else. These door panels were obviously painted. They used to be gray. Now they're black. Same with the dash. This was painted when I got it. I think this is the same paint that's actually on the exterior. The color is pretty much a dead match. So I think they painted the bezels when they did that. It does have tilt steering, but it doesn't have cruise or any of that stuff. So that would have been an upgraded option that this didn't come with. Other than that, it's a standard sliding seats. These ones don't tip. These ones just actually slide back and forth. So that would be prevalent like the SE, same type of thing. I don't know if the tip and slides came out in this year, but it's definitely a benefit to have those, especially getting people in and out of the back. So that's kind of it for the interior and the exterior. Let's have a quick look underneath and see what we see under there. Now I know this is a concern. Underneath, got some decent in there. Like you can see, the big thing that you want to look for when you're looking to buy these Jeeps, this is the biggest thing for everybody that you talk to is going to be the frame. It's with any vehicle, especially ones that are, 20, what is this one, 27 years old now. So the frames definitely rot. Bushings in here in the control arms, in the sway bar bushings, the steering, all that stuff, they're probably going to be dry rotted. So that's something that you definitely have to consider. But this one, the frame looks really good from the front here. This is where they'll typically start rotting. And the reason is there's no holes, there's no drain holes anywhere in this frame. So when you four-wheel it and you get into the water and the mud, everything goes into these holes and then it just sits. And it will just sit down there and it'll just chew until it, obviously gets an opening. So between the skid plate and the frame, you can see it here. I tried treating this before we left Canada, but you can see the rust is already starting to take hold. You can guarantee when I take this skid plate off, which we're going to do in the next episode or two, there's going to likely be holes in here, in between here. I just hope they're not too bad. The running board obviously is all okay. The other thing to look at is the torque box and these body mounts. So what'll happen is these will start to rust and then the body mounts will just push right through the torque box. And that's obviously a bad sign. That would mean the torque box is all rotted out. So, and we can actually see that here. So this is in really, really bad shape. This needs to be repaired. So the body mount isn't even sitting on the torque box anymore. It's gone completely through. And the body mount, or the frame to body mount is actually rusted pretty good as well. So these will start to be weak points. And then here's some of the rust that I was talking about. So you can see here it's pretty prevalent. This is actually rotted pretty good. One good way to actually check this is if I have one here, which I do, is when you're buying these things, just give it a tap. If the wrench goes through or dents it or what, it's rotted. This is still salvageable. It's definitely getting there. You can see it's definitely thinner, but you put a little bit of rust converter on that, and I think that could actually be salvaged for a little while longer. The big concern on this side, and this is the big portion, this definitely needs to be repaired. I noticed this was one of the reasons why I pushed so hard to get the LJ done as quick as I did, because this is completely rotted. This is in bad shape to the point where it's rotted out from underneath. So this frame is actually, I don't know whether that would pass an inspection or not. It was important to get this thing off the road, just from a safety standpoint. I don't think it's going to fall apart anytime soon. It's still got quite a bit of beef there, but it definitely needs to be addressed. So same with that body mount. It's not horrible, but while you're digging into this other stuff, might as well just take care of that. So this is what I need to be working on here for the next little bit, is getting this fixed. So it's kind of a shame to see. I wish I would have paid a little bit more attention to it sooner. I did notice this, but just with everything else going on, it just kind of took a back seat. So now it's going to have to be a little bit more invasive to fix that. So, but I've got some ideas of what we can do there. They actually build a frame repair piece specifically for this. So that might be an avenue that we go down. It comes with a new control arm or a mount and all that stuff. So might as well, you can see this bushing is pretty much toast. So we can replace all that while we're in there. But from a value standpoint, that's really what you want to be looking at. And then obviously the floor pans. So these floor pans still look really, really good. Emergency brake cable setup is rusty, but it's not dead. It's still all good. And then while we're under here, you can see the spring perches. So these ones, I can't really see what you see, but if memory serves me, they're not horrible. But the one over there, I can see it from here. It's pretty bad. So we got to look at the upper spring perches as well. Drive shaft and all that stuff all looks good. We won't know more until we get the skid plate off. All right, let's go around the other side. Okay, so this side isn't, well, anywhere near as bad. So that's definitely a good sign. The frame's in really good shape over here. Body mount isn't horrible, but it could definitely be better. That middle one's pretty much toast. It goes right through. You can kind of see it there. So the frame on this side is in way better shape and actually salvageable. If we knock off some of this big stuff and hit it with some rust converter, I think we can turn this one around. That front body mount looks good, and everything towards the front looks okay. It'll be interesting once we get the skid plate off to see what it looks like. So all in all, not horrible. Let's see if we can have a look at this spring perch. I'll know more once I get the tires off, but the spring perch doesn't look bad. It's definitely got some undercoating that's flaking off, and the lower spring perch there looks somewhat okay. So I think we're in half decent shape. Nothing that has to be rescued right away. It does have aftermarket shocks on it. Those look like Ranchos. They're the adjustables. What are they? The 9500 series. So, there's my muffler. I actually did that mount. This was before I owned a grinder. I was trying to fix that. Skid plate's got some holes in it, which I'm not overly worried about. Skid plate's just that. It's a skid plate. So, yeah, it looks okay. So, okay, so we've had a good look. We obviously got some frame issues that we need to deal with, particularly on this driver's side. Unfortunate, but it's the nature of the beast in these older vehicles. Unless you're inspecting them on, the monthly or whatever. That one just got away from me, honestly. We've just been so busy with all the other stuff, and sure. But that's one of the reasons why it was important to get the LJ back on the road and get Tanya into that one. So the interior, definitely we need some cleanup to do, some new seat covers, those types of things. So what do you think the value is? I have a number in mind, but I'm definitely curious as to what kind of everybody else thinks based on market conditions and maybe even your past experience. So let us know. I'm definitely curious. So I think what I'm going to do is put a budget together for this, because I need to figure out what money I have to spend. I didn't spend it all on the LJ though.
You did good, LJ.
I did really good. We went way under budget on that. So I got a little bit of money to spare maybe. So I'm going to put a list together of things that I know we need to do from a drivability and a safety standpoint. And then we'll look at what we need to do to clean it up, like all the wiring underneath the hood, re-looming things, new battery. I know it definitely needs that. Just some standard cleanup stuff. I got to look at the floors. So one of the things we didn't do on the walk around was check underneath the carpets. And that is super, super important on these Jeeps. I know what these look like. These floors are immaculate. There's no issues with those. So, but that's definitely something you want to do, is peel up the carpet and look at the floors and see kind of what rust is. What really happens is the cowl, not so much on the 97s, but the 98s, 99s, they got the small opening. All that crap gets down in there and it blocks the drain port. And then all that fluid backs up and it actually drips down into the heater core and drains out all through the vents and goes onto the passenger side floor. And you don't even realize it unless you got a passenger in there and their feet are constantly wet when it rains. Like Tanya's in my Jeep. She's always saying her feet get wet, especially with the air conditioner running. So that floor will tend, all that water runs underneath the carpet and then it just sits there because you're not going to take the drain plugs out unless, you're washing the Jeep out after wheeling or whatever. So all that moisture just sits back in there. So that's definitely something that you want to check as well besides the rust on the frame. All right. So let us know what you think and we'll bring you along for the ride. All right. See you on the next one.